Today's video, we're going to be checking out the Hasbro Avengers Infinity War. This is Titan Hero Series Power Effects Star-Lord. Now, before we do anything, let's figure out how tall Star-Lord is. Much like the other Titan Hero Series figures, he stands at about 12 inches, might be even just a little shorter than that. Let's go with 11 3/4 of an inch tall. Some also quick comparisons. We'll put him out with some of the other Titan Hero Series figures that we've looked at already. There he is next to Iron Man. Here he is next to Thor. So it seems like he's about the size, maybe the same height as Thor. Here he is next to probably one of the better ones from the lot is Iron Spider, if I can get him to hopefully stand. And why don't we bring in Thanos as well. Thanos is actually, funny enough, almost one of the shortest of the bunch, but he's still a little bit taller than Star-Lord. I feel as if Star-Lord, we also forgot one as well. Here he is also next to Captain America. Star-Lord may very well be the shortest of the figures, but that's only by the slightest bit. Star-Lord and Thor seem to be the only figures that come with accessories. So Thor came with a sword, Star-Lord comes with his 2 pairs of blasters, well, 1 pair of 2 blasters. The blasters are cast in what looks to be almost like a dark gray color. Yes, big noticeable pegs on the back there. The pegs allow for the blasters, we just move the arms out of the way here, the blasters to be plugged into the sides of his leg, which is a little bit extra play value so the kids can actually plug those into place when they're not displayed in Star-Lord's hands. The same pegs, however, that plug into his legs can be almost a bit of a problem now because you have to get them into his hands. The hands fit sort of around the handle area here, but you have to get it around the peg point, the actual peg that's connected into his leg. So again, that could be a little bit problematic. Also helps if you have it facing the right way. So we'll put the blaster on this side. This side of the hand, there we go. And as you can see, the thumb just barely clears around the peg and the 4 fingers clasp around the handle area there. This all works quite well, especially if you get the blasters facing the right way. So we'll do the same on the other side, just to show you what it looks like. There we go. And both blasters are in place. Now, let me tell you something. Let me say this. It makes for the figure to be, it's impossible for the figure to stand. Now, you may think to yourself, well, why can't you just adjust the legs? Well, unfortunately, the very flat Star-Lord booty that's on the back there, you can't bring the legs any bit further than that. It stops there. It stops short, which means the figure kind of already leans slightly to the front, the forward area here. So he already has stuff working against him. You add any bit of weight to it, yeah, he's just going to fall over. But about the only way you can display him with the actual guns is the most boring way to do it. You kind of have to have the arms to the sides. You kind of spread the legs, but it is very difficult for him to stand. I just wish that the legs could actually have come back a little bit further, so it wouldn't be a problem all the time trying to get this guy to balance. Let me also say, too, Star-Lord is extremely thin. I suppose, for that matter, all the Titan Hero Series figures were relatively thin figures. It seems much more apparent here with Star-Lord. Despite his falling problems, despite the fact that he looks like an ironing board, he is actually one of my favorite figures from the Titan Hero Series. Having a look at his helmet actually favors a little bit more of a dark black than it does the silver in the movie. I guess maybe in the movie it may be slightly darker, or maybe Hasbro just took it upon themselves to go a little bit more, take some luxuries, I suppose, with the coloring of his helmet. So the helmet here is now slightly more dark. It even almost borderlines being a dark, did he just say dark navy. Almost like a dark blue. A little bit of gold and some silver accents are nice on the helmet, and he's got a little tuft of hair sticking out from the top, which I might say the hair is sculpted very nicely. There's the back of it, as well as the peg point for his Power Effects backpack, which will be going in there in a second. Molding wise, it looks like they've molded the jacket and likely painted the interior. So the molding was probably in burgundy, and they just simply have painted the interior here of a dark gray. His legs are slightly on the boring side, really just being a very shiny. It's almost the color of a chocolate bunny, having just celebrated Easter here. So the legs are not the most exciting, but at the very least they have a little bit of detailing there. And of course you can always peg the blasters in the sides of his leg to make him a little bit more interesting. Despite his shortcomings, actually, I do really like this figure. He might be I don't want to say my favorite figure from the Power Effects lines. I think that would be Iron Spider or maybe Thanos. But he's definitely right up there, I think, for my all-time favorites of this lineup so far. Now, to break into the Power Effects lines, actually, funny enough, the box here advertises Iron Man's Power Effects backpack, or knapsack, or whatever pack you would like to call it. So, why not stick with what works? We're going to bring in the Iron Man's backpack here. And as you know, if you press it on its own...
I am Iron Man.
It has Iron Man's voice. And Iron Man's sound effects. However, let's just move the box out of the way here. However, if you do plug it into the back of Star-Lord, you'll get something completely different. And we'll go ahead and do that now.
The name's Star-Lord.
All around, actually, you know what? Let me try that again.
Time to save the galaxy.
That's probably the closest that we've gotten ourselves to sounding like the actor from the movie. I think that does sound quite a bit like Chris Pratt. Let's go ahead and try that again.
Bring it on, bad guys. The name's Star-Lord.
So you get about 4 phrases. And interesting about using the Iron Man backpack is it actually looks like something Star-Lord may have actually worn, maybe more in a gray than a red, but nonetheless it looks like something he would actually wear. You may also notice too that the backpack has also benefited the figure because now he stands perfectly fine. You can now bring out the blasters, bring out the guns, and you can display the guy a little bit better because now he's got the weight of the backpack keeping it from toppling over forward. So that's a plus as well. I can't think of really any other backpack I would probably use for Star-Lord. Just in case you are wondering, though, we'll just detach this and we'll bring in Iron Spiders, just so you guys can see.
Here comes Spider-Man.
Once again, I hit it by mistake, but that's Spider-Man, so we'll plug that into place.
The name's Star-Lord.
And that's kind of neat, too, although I think I probably would go with this one as well. Captain America's was gray. I didn't get the Captain America Power Effects figure. I ended up just getting the standalone figure, which had the capabilities, of course, of housing the backpack. But his backpack was gray, so I guess you could have packed that on the back of Star-Lord, and that would also have worked as well. But I think if I was going to choose any for displaying him, I would probably choose...
Time to save the galaxy.
I would probably choose Iron Man's. Star-Lord's got a really neat look to him, and actually I kind of like the dark navy black that they went with his helmet instead of going with the silver. It's a nice otherwise breakup of colors than what we normally would see with Star-Lord here. His costume and overall sculpt is a little bit more on the simple side, but there's something more appealing I find to this guy than, say, for example, Captain America or Thor. So of the lot, I think my top favorites are Iron Spider, Thanos, and good old Star-Lord here. The added bonus is the fact that he does have the hand blasters, which he can either put in his hand or put on his leg. Some caution should of course be made because putting it into his hands, as you saw, he wants to topple over. So it's all the more reason why you would want to use the Power Effects backpack, because at the very least, it adds some weight to the back so it keeps the figure from toppling over. Yeah, not a bad looking figure. I picked up a whole bunch of these on toysrus.com or toysrus.ca, and they had a buy one, I think it was buy one, get the second for half price. So ultimately I bought one figure and it was about $15. I think the second one, or it was $10. The second one worked out to be about a $6 price point. So I was able to get a whole bunch of these. If you guys are interested in trying that yourselves, you might want to check and still see if toysrus.ca or .com still has the sales, the buy one and get the second for half price. Again, not a bad looking Titan Hero Series Star-Lord here. He doesn't really have much in the way of posability, and unfortunately, that's about the only thing that is the nitpick to this particular guy. I wish his legs could stand a little bit further back, so he didn't really need the backpack to stand upright, especially if he had the blasters in his hands. Still, pretty fun and something that the kids would love to play with, I think, once they pick these up for themselves, or mom and dad picks them up for them. Today we were having a look at the Hasbro Titan Hero series. This is the Power Effects Star-Lord. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. Many more videos will be coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.